Welcome to my daily review. Today is Thursday, September 25, and you're looking at a daily chart of the Nasdaq, which has fallen once again for the third straight day. Oh my, what are we going to do? I have switched the green line, the moving average, to the 10-day, and you can see it pull back to the 10-day today. I should say that the Nasdaq was down 113 points or a half a percent, closed at 22,384. You can see the volume 9% higher than the 50-day average. Listen, we're in September. It's seasonably a weak month. We started the week more than 5% higher for the month. So to give back some gains as we end the third quarter as institutions lock in some gains for the third quarter to put on the books, right? So they can show their clients, we had a great quarter, we made this much, and then the stocks that they're selling this week, they'll be buying back next week. As they're selling them not because they hate them, it's just because they want to lock in gains and show profits on their books. So, that's why this time of year is seasonably weak. Also, and my friend calls me every day, did you sell Rosh Hashanah and buy Yom Kippur? No. And some people are just relentless. So it is seasonably weak. We've had a great month. I expect more selling. It did close today, right at the 10. You could see that right there. 387 is the 10, and it closed at 384, 22,384. So if it pulls back to the 21 or even undercuts the 21, that would be my expectation. And as long as it's orderly and not, big, huge, moves to the downside, just violent moves, violating their moving averages with massive volume, then I'm okay with this pullback. I think it's fine. We're still in an uptrend. The stocks, this is the conundrum about a pullback is that if you're in the stock, you don't want anything to go down. You want it to go up every day. But if you haven't been able to capture some of these stocks that you've been wanting to get into for weeks and weeks, now might be an opportunity as they come in a little bit to the moving averages. And I'm going to get that. I'm not going to go to the other indexes today. They're down, a little bit. The Nasdaq is the one though, they're carrying the Apple, the NVDA, the Microsoft, and the growth stocks. And of course, Apple, and they're all in the Dow as well, but I'm not going to go to the Dow. This is Apple, and this one's looking really good on a weekly chart here. Is it consolidating in this base? Apple, I know there's some people whining. I'm not going to get into it. Apple, they just have the new phone and it's being well received in China, I guess. So, NVIDIA, what I was looking for today, when there's weakness, the futures were down quite a bit. You knew the market was going to open up to the downside. You look where these stocks find support. They don't have to bounce, but as long as they come down to support, now there could be more selling tomorrow and they could undercut, for a couple of days, and that's not the end of the world either. We really want to see it bounce, but if we have selling the next couple of days and Nvidia comes down below the 50, I think that's more of a buy than a sell. I think, as we start the fourth quarter, we're probably going to see some more buying and the rally continues, but we might have some weakness here for the next few sessions. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Microsoft just consolidating in a base. Yeah, it closed below its 50, 1% below the 50, but still no big deal, no great shakes, no harm, no foul. Just sitting there in a base and consolidating. That one looks fine. Google, which had been one of the stronger Mag 7 names or the stronger Mag 7 names, now today it undercut the 10. So maybe, it closed what, half a percent below it. Maybe it'll pull back to the 21. So if you miss this, I think we had the buy point there on 180. If you miss that run up to two, was it 258 or whatever, 256? You miss that and you want to get it in on Google, you want to own Google, well, maybe you'll get a chance here as it pulls back to the 21 here, 238. Maybe you get something like that, 240 before the next move higher. I don't think these things are going to sit in bases. I don't think so for, 8 weeks, 10 weeks, 12 weeks, like I've shown you with some of these other ones like DoorDash, which is sitting in a base, which looks pretty good. And it found support there. It's 50 today. No, 21, Marty, 21. Come on, snap out of it. The low was 257.50 and the 21 was 258. So yeah, Pull back, undercut the 21 barely, and just kind of squatting there, but still in a base. Spotify, another one watching here. Is it, forms this cup with handle, just support at the moving average. That's what you want to see. I don't care if it's up $3 or down $3. It doesn't matter as long as it's staying, not undercutting the moving average with volume, and it's not doing that. So Spotify looks good to me as well. Netflix, another one that I'm watching here. Yeah, just hanging on to the moving average, which is kind of a downtrending moving average, but still you could see this one's consolidating in a base here. And it might even decide to, make a double, we'll go here, double bottom pattern, maybe, down here before they're going to report on October 21. Season's going to be coming up here before too long. All right, I just wrote a bunch of names down that I own or I watch or I'm interested in or leading stocks. This is a Robinhood, and we can see right in the morning here this thing gap down. You know what they do is they take out stops, right? Yeah, they take out your stops because they know that people have stops in this. If you bought it at 120, 5 or whatever, went up to 130. Well, you don't want to give back too much, right? So this one gapped down today. Let's say you bought it at 120. You sell it at 122. What did it come down to today? 121.73. Yeah. And then it retested here, the low here, 120.70. How about that? For Robinhood. I want to look at that's a second, that's a retest. All right. But on the daily chart, just pull back to the 10. Will it bounce tomorrow? I don't know. It might trade down to the 21. It has been consolidating in this space for a long time. Started to push away. Now, I think it's fine. It's just on an uptrend and going higher. It's just, a little bit of profit taking as we close out the quarter. But, they're selling Robinhood, not that they want to. It's just, taking profits. And I think in Q4, this thing will get back, into its winning ways. Another one that I was looking at is OKLO, which has been a huge winner. Obviously, you look at that thing, it was straight up, right? So it just pulled back to its 10 today. I had a guy text me this morning saying, "Oklo's cratering, it's going to go to 70." I'm going like, "Oh, hold on, man." I was busy doing stuff today. I wasn't even watching the market, but yeah, I just said, relax, pull back to its 10. That's all it did. There it is in the morning. Wow. Yeah, so a lot of panic selling there down at 110. I get it. It was just a day or two ago, yesterday, it was 144 and this morning it's down to 110. That's tough to take. But it rebounded. It found support at the 10. And we'll see if it bounces tomorrow. Like to see it get above that high of 122.48. And now it has a gap to fill there with the low yesterday being 130.38. So I guess that would be the trade, 120 to 130. And adios, muchachos. LEU had no time for any sell off. This one pulled back to the 10, bounced sharply. Now that's a bounce. Sometimes people ask me, what is a bounce? Well, if you're up 13%, that's a bounce. You could see, kind of like OKLO, right? Sold off right in the morning, but man, not a lot of panic sellers here. There was just people taking advantage, buying it up right away. So nice move for Centrus Energy. And it's the buy point there was 264.90 and it pulled back to that area today, right? The low is 261. And yeah, so yeah, I mean, you can't argue with that. Undercut the 10 barely, and then man, that's a nice bump. Yeah, I guess 261 to 312. Yeah. Duh. It's a nice day, Marty. A couple others in this group that I like that are just, faltering. GEV and undercut the 50 today. You don't want to see that. Not the end of the world, but you want to see them find support. And the CEG a little stronger than GEV as it found support here. At least it squatted at the 50, 323.97, close a tick above it. Yes, 0.7%. You can see this is consolidating in a nice little base here. So definitely Constellation one to watch going forward. I think that's it for those names. I got to get to some of the software names. App 11 went into the S&P, and all it did today was pull back to the 10. I want to see what this morning looks like too. So yeah, not too bad. Took out some stops down there at 620, and then it rallied up, closed at 639.91. Yeah, so Apple 11, it looks fine to me. Palantir, another one that was kind of violent this morning, where it, sold off at the open, it was down to 174.29, and then buyers came in and closed at 179, so $5 off the lows. And you can see this one's just consolidating in a base here. A late stage base, I might add, because you can see how many bases it has: base and base and base and base and base. And now we have this another base here at 7 weeks. Maybe form a little handle. If we have weakness in the next few sessions, and maybe next week it could take off. So that one should be on the ready list next week. What else do we have? Oh, CLS. Another big winner, lots of profits to take. This one pulled back to the 21. Finished on the upside today. Very nice. CLS, I knew it in the morning was down. Yeah, 227, closed at 244. So that's a 17-point move. Very nice, as Borat would say. SNDK, the hardware names, the data storage, they since Micron reported they sold off the last couple of days. SanDisk, which was in price discovery mode, now is pulled back. So if you want SanDisk, maybe you can get it on a bounce here if you're paying attention. I think you have to be quick with these. I don't think they're going to mess around for too long. MU, I mentioned the report. Now it undercut the 10. Still looks okay. WDC, another hardware name. Yeah, it didn't even come down to the 10. So this is a really strong group. And PSTG, Pure Storage is another one. It undercut the 10. So you can see the difference in those four computer data storage names. There's some that are a little stronger than others. All right. STRL, I mentioned this one yesterday about the obscene bar that we haven't seen in a long time from this, from 376 down to 343 and closing at the lows of the session today. Pulled back to the 21, which was 321, the lowest 319. Close at 338, so that's a nice bounce, yeah, for this one. 85% of the daily range. Let's see what that looks like on a shorter time frame. Yeah, there's your dip, the panic selling, and then the buyers come in and take advantage as you get stopped out for having a stop loss. I showed you dash. Oh, IREN. Now this one in Cipher, this one needs to come in a little bit. I should change it to the 5 really because it's surfing the 5. You want to buy that one, you're probably gonna have to buy it off the 5. The other one was CIFR. They had a deal announced this morning with Google. I mean, 5 minutes after the deal was announced, they announced a secondary offering for like I want to say about 850 million, something like that. Just took the wind out of the sails. So this one sold off. And I don't know. I think it'll balance. It's a pretty significant deal they made. And sometimes, it's like everybody was expecting a deal. You finally get the deal, and it's a sell the news type of thing. So I would expect a bounce off the 10 there today. And now it has a gap. Since it gap lower, the low is 1387. So it's got a gap to fill there at 1387. So $12 at 1387. I think you'll take that all day long. So that'd be something to watch tomorrow, just for a balance and a quick trade. LITE down to the 21 and bounce. Very nice. Is another one that I wrote a bunch of stuff down early in the day that they were down. I was expecting them to bounce. This is one of them. I had stuff to do today. I thought this was going to finish lower. It was way low. Like what was it? 144, closed at 159. So that is a nice bounce for yeah, I didn't think this one was going to finish positive at all. 89% of the daily range. So yeah, that's a nice bounce. INSM, 3 weeks tight pattern. You think it's an add-on buy point, and then it does this, boop, and that's that's the way it goes. That's why I say that just because it's a pattern doesn't mean it's always going to work. I had this one on the ready list week. I really thought it was going to bounce. 3 weeks tight, and it went the other way. So that's the way it goes in trading. Not every chart is foolproof. And I don't think there was any news or anything today. It just sold off. Some profit taking, as I say, into the quarter end. All right, I'm going to go through a couple of themes here. Energy was the strong, I shouldn't say energy, I should say oil and gas was the strong suit today because a lot of energy names were down. This is Noble, the oil and gas driller, just flat in the session. It was up. That's why I had it written down. Sold off into the close. There you go. Yeah, so you could see that I kind of left early today and I had some things to do, but yeah, I don't know. That still looks okay to me, being flat on the session. Baker Hughes is a driller. This one pump, no, actually, um, equipment manufacturer. I think four drillers, though, right? I don't know. They bought a company, so they're expanding their business. Anyway, pop on Tuesday and holding its gains nicely, so that looks pretty decent. MPC, Marathon Petroleum is a refiner. Yeah, broke out of the base, and now it's. If I switched it over to the five, and since I'm doing themes, group themes, I think I will, because that's kind of the if you're not looking to buy and you're just surfing as a swing trader, you're just holding on as long as that thing holds above the five. So Marathon looks good. Can't believe I'm talking about oil stocks. Whew. Oil and gold. Nothing gets people excited like oil and gold. Valero, surfing the five once again. Super strong stock, another refiner. That looks good. I'm not gonna get too much into these. I promise not to show you any gold stocks today, but yeah, I'm going to go to the home builders. KBH reported last night. This is the same kind of story as Lennar that, they're using incentives to sell homes. So what that does cuts into their margins. They lowered forward guidance and they're really, asking for rate cuts. These CEOs are just, the market environment's pretty tough. And a couple more rate cuts would do wonders for not only this group, but KMX. They reported this morning it was down 25%. Ended up down 20, and the CEO just flat out said, the tariffs are killing us. We need some rate cuts here. We need some help. And he was really negative. And when you're negative on Wall Street, man, you don't give people a reason to buy your stock, then they're not going to buy it. They just sold it off. It was down 25%. It did recover a little bit. It's still down 20%. So yeah, I don't know. He sounded a little frustrated. Um, Back to the home builders. Lennar, same thing. They reported earlier. They're using incentives. It's cutting into their margins, and you can see the margins here down here at the bottom, 15, 11, now 9. Um, so yeah, just using incentive to sell the homes. So they need rate cuts, folks, and I think we're going to get them. But yeah, I think we're going to get them. But I'm not an economist, so I'm not going to go there. The other one was Open Door in the home builder space. This one, they had what was it? Jane Street took 6% of the company. Yesterday it was in a file. After hours, it was reported. And this one had this, consistent pattern that I'd been talking about for a while. It was picking up, at the five, and then ripping higher, and then back to the five, finding support, then ripping higher and finding support at the five and then ripping higher. And then it didn't find support at the five. So that pattern broke and it pulled back to the 21 on Tuesday, then bounced Wednesday and another strong bounce today. It filled that gap there. It didn't last long, did it? It had a gap. It gapped down here on, what was it, Monday? Okay, so the low was 832. So that was the gap because the high was 810 on Tuesday. And then on Wednesday, it closed that gap. And then today it got above $9. So 935. Yeah, yeah. So that's kind of what I would call like a bear trap where you think, oh man, we got him on the run, right? It's down 4 days in a row. There's a ton of selling. It's undercutting the 21. You think it's going to come down to the 50 or something, and it just rebounds. And that's just the way it goes in trading. But Open Door, new management, I think they're going to do pretty well longer term. All right, that's it for the home builders. All right, I'm going to get to copper miners. I said no gold stocks, but copper miners. Ivanhoe Electric, and I'm starting to like this chart pattern here. And I've been reading up on this company, and they've got some mines going here, and yeah, they're going to be pulling some stuff out of the ground, and copper's getting a little more expensive as well. So I think they're going to pull stuff out of the ground in here in 28. So the stop would be ahead of that, because it moves before the actual. That's what you're seeing in your quant, stocks, like your IONQs with no earnings or sales or anything, but the stock's ripping because it's anticipating growth. Well, that's the same thing with, something like Ivanhoe and a lot of these copper plays. Since I'm in copper, I'll go to SCO. But the thing that's it's an inside day today. The thing that's driving it is this lithium. America is the deal. United States is making overtures towards Lithium Americas, and this one had a day two rally because yesterday it was up 95%, just tacked on 23% today. That's very nice. CLPT is a platform. Excuse me, CLPT. Sorry about that. That's a different topic. I've said I'm not going to gold stocks. I'm trying to get to some of these material names and without getting into the gold. Okay, so this is a materials, MP materials. This one is up, big amount. See, this what pin action from Lithium Americas as well. What else do we have? USAR, because it might not just be Lithium Americas that there's speculation that there might be other companies that the government's involved with. So one more you. This is a energy fuels. This is a uranium play. Utah, Colorado, Arizona, Wyoming, New Mexico. Man, this thing's just been on a heater as well. Surfing the five, very nice. Okay, I lied. SSRM. I do have a gold stock that just looks fantastic. Surfing the five. And IDR, this is Idaho Strategic Resources. This is Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. It's a beautiful area. Very cold in the winter, but a beautiful area. And yeah, this thing's just surfing the five. So okay, I did mention a couple gold stocks, but I'm going to stop right there. I'm I'm going to get to CLPT and QURE because this is day two for them as well. This is the platform for QURE, brain and heart, and the other one day two as well. Unicure, yeah, it was up 250% yesterday, only 11% today. What a laggard. So yeah, nice 2 days for those two, CLPT and Unicor. Some of the other drug names, Lilly halted a trial today. Market didn't like it. It was down nearly 4%, down after hours. Yeah, slicing the 50. Boy, those GLP-1 stocks were just so hot for a while and they just fell out. Now in a stage four decline. Oh well, that's kind of the way it goes in trading, folks. There are no guarantees. MNPR, this is one that I show a lot. Nobody cares about it. It's a thin stock. I posted on Twitter and it's crickets. I mean, this thing's just ripping higher though. Just acknowledging strength here, that's all. Finding support. And some of the bigger key stocks, some of the software, hardware, tech leaders are finding support at moving averages, and some of these other stocks are just ripping higher. The biotech, yeah, some of the biotech names are doing well. How's Kayla doing today? I didn't look at that one. Okay, that's fine. KYMR. Yeah, this one broke out today, made a new high. Looks fantastic. KYMR, Martin KYMR. Oh man, I got a lot of these. CRNX, excuse me, CRNX. This is CRNX. I believe they have a PDUFA tomorrow for a drug. So if they get approval, this thing's going to do well. If they don't, it's going to be, outhouse or penthouse situation for that one. Maybe over the weekend, but yeah, soon for that one. And then, okay, I'm going to stop right there. Yeah, that's enough drugs. A couple of the bank names I got to get to. Small banks, big banks doing well. This is Harbor One, very small bank. 588 million, but conversely, Goldman Sachs, looking pretty good as well as JP Morgan, another big bank, just grinding higher. So yeah, the banks, financials, a lot of areas are doing well. Just the AI stocks just pulled back a little bit. Intel up a lot today, nearly 9%. I don't know, they're seeking a partnership with Apple. Um, Apple was up today as well. IBM, nice day. I guess they're a brainchild. I think it's probably Watson. I didn't read the article, but their trading success was very good. So they asked the machine, trades, and it's hitting with a high degree of regularity. So good for IBM. They could just use their machines to trade. They don't have to do any hardware, software business. They could just be in the trading business. Marvell, I don't know, CEO was saying something. Once again, I forget. But anyway, it's showing good growth numbers. It's consolidating within a base and now trading above the 50. You want to see that five trade through the 200 and break above that 85.27. So Marvell looking a little better. What else do I have? I had ASML, IBM, yeah, ASML looking okay. It's a much bigger name. What is it? 375 billion market cap consolidating within the base. That looks pretty darn good to me. And Oracle, I have to mention Oracle. This is the thing about my buddy was saying that, oh, I'm going to buy Oracle. I'm going to buy Oracle. They're going to be announcing the TikTok deal. I'm thinking, oh, I told him, I go, if you know that, then everybody knows that. People on Wall Street know it too. So when the news hits, it's going to sell off. I thought it was going to sell off, and it did to the tune of what, 6%. So the last couple of days, I think this is anticipation of that news that they're going to be a partner. I don't know. I mean, it's a great company. It's probably, 118 it was appealing, and at 345 it's probably a little less appealing, pretty expensive. 800 billion market cap. So I don't know, maybe it'll come back to the 21 and find support. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, they're part of the TikTok deal. Another couple of names here, CoreWeave. Very wild day today for CoreWeave. They had a deal announced as well. I forget the deal, but ramped up and then sold off. So, sell the news type of thing. The market is just now in like a sell mode. They want to take profits. So anything that goes up, kind of comes in a little bit. And stuff that doesn't go up goes down more. All right. That was CoreWeave. What else did I have? I showed you the other ones, Palantir, Spotify. All right. I want to go to education. These names are doing well. ATGE and then APEI, American Public Education, just soaring here. PRDO, strong group. So I can see this one rising here at 74 now. These ones are, yeah, breaking out of bases and trading higher. Just pointing out strength, not saying to go out and buy these or their setup, just acknowledging, just looking at the fishbowl, folks. All right, that's it for me. Thank you for watching at mcstockcharts.com. We never give up, except in honor of the great Steve Jobs. I have one more thing, and that's China. China's been pretty strong here. This is the KWEB, which is like an exchange traded fund for their internet index. Doing pretty well. They've got a lot of stocks that are doing well. BABA, big leader here, breaking out. BIDU has been performing well. Pull back here to its moving average and found support. Had an inside day today. That one looks pretty good. Futu, financial name. Yeah, traded off its 50, bounced nicely. You can see it's, clear uptrend here. You just look at the lows, just, yeah, we're trending higher, folks. So when it pulls back to the 50, that's when it's time to get in. If you're into such things, A Tour Lifestyle. Yeah, I mean, it's made a big move, right? From what? What was it down here? 21 something? Okay. And now it's 38. That's not bad. KC, this is a KC and the Sunshine Band, no, computer software group. Set up in a base here and now popped today 6%, trying to break out. That looks pretty good. Up with volume today. Nice. Last couple of days. VNet, there's another one that's been a pretty strong stock. So China looks good. Yeah, just breaking out of a base here. Billy, um, Billy, yeah, trying to break out of a base here, pull back, and then undercut the moving average. And now it's traded right back through it. That one looks pretty good to me. And GDS. All right. Those China stocks are looking pretty good. After hours, CNCX, software name, getting a little bit of a haircut. CNXC. I'm dyslexic. I can't type in, but it's down. Yeah, 21% after hours. Ouch. And then Costco reported pretty strong numbers. I don't know what the stock's doing. Flattish. They had 6% same store sales in the U.S. That's pretty nice. They beat, on earnings. They beat slightly on revenues, like they always do, just a little bit here and there. So that's something to be watching for tomorrow morning at mcstockcharts.com. We never give up. Have a great evening, everybody.